One of the coolest parts about what I do with Rust Admin Academy is I get to see everyone's creativity. So if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you know the level of my creativity. You've seen it. This is it. This is the pinnacle of my creativity right now. But there are developers in the community that will look at something like this, the Minicopter, or the Player Flyable CH-47, or the Player Flyable Attack Copter. And they'll say, no, there's so much more I can do to this to make it so much cooler. So then we end up with items like this, the CH-47 that's now been converted into an Apache helicopter, or we've got the terrible sedan with an auto turret mounted to the roof and two M249s mounted to the hood, a Mini with a turret mounted to the front of it, or a Rib mounted with four crappy M249s. And the list goes on and on. Anyway, my point is, I look at a scrap Mini and I say, okay, cool, we've got a scrap Mini, cool, that's it. But as it turns out, there's so much more that can be done with all of the vehicles in the game, and I'm going to show you all about it today. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rust Admin Academy, where I'm teaching you everything that you need to know about owning and operating a successful Rust server. On this channel, I do plugin reviews and tutorials, plus I want to give you all of the little tips and tricks that you're going to need in order to be successful with your Rust server. If you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below and make sure you turn on notification bells so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And of course, as always, if you take any value out of this video whatsoever, don't forget to hit that like button for me. So today we're talking about GunShips. And thanks to TGWA, otherwise known as the guy who asked, we have access to all of these crazy different vehicles that he's modified and put in game for us, all within this plugin. Super simple plugin to deal with. You need to install the two dependencies that are shown on the doc page, Entity Scale Manager, as well as Parented Entity Render Fix. Both of those links are directly on the doc page, super easy to get to. Drop those two in first, and then purchase, download, and install GunShips. Now, because I know everyone is seeing that price tag of $45.99, I know you're wondering if I got you a promo code. At the time of the recording of this video, I have not discussed a promo code with the developer, but I'm sure once I reach out to him and ask, he'll probably oblige us. But obviously I can't guarantee that. If I do end up getting a promo code for you, it's going to end up in the video description and in the pinned comment down below. Plus, I'll also probably put it somewhere in the video as well, because that's what I tend to do. All right, so what can we do once we have GunShips installed? Well, really the sky's the limit when it comes to the vehicles themselves. For example, we could put signage on each one of the windows for any of the vehicles that have signs across the windows. It's also used as protection, but we can put signage on them. So as you can see, I just used basic promotional material here. We can put a minigun in the turret and we'd be able to get in and drive this vehicle around and shoot up everything. My Apache helicopter is already set to go with my miniguns. Let's hop inside. Once you're inside, you're going to notice a UI that you've probably never seen before, and that's giving you all of the information about the guns, what the targets are going to be, because this is all an automated targeting system, same as any other auto turret would be, but you get to determine what it targets. This button on the left here turns on and off the neon sign that I have that logo on the front. The next one to it turns on the auto turrets themselves. So right now you can see my auto turrets are turned off. Let's flip the switch. It says in chat there the auto turret system is online. Sure enough, if we go out, we can see that the auto turrets are now turned on and all four miniguns are ready to go. You would also want to make sure that you have ammo in it because you're going to burn through a lot of ammo really fast. Put your fuel in like you normally would, and let's go for a flight and see what this thing can do. So before we get over and test this thing out, so you'll see in the top right hand corner there, it's telling you how to actually control everything. So the reload button will change your targeting profile. So as you can see there, I've now switched it to NPCs, or I can change it to animals or players, NPCs and animals, NPCs and players, players and animals. And of course, if we switch it to none, then obviously it's not going to target anything. That's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so let's go and hunt down some NPCs here. There should be the military base right over here, and we should be able to test this out. I'm going to turn my volume on real quick because this sounds awesome. Now, hopefully in post-production, I will know that you all can hear that. Destruction, just ultimate destruction. So it just laid down like, I don't know, 6 NPCs. I'm not doing anything. This is all hands-free. This is the auto turrets doing all of the work. So that was the Apache with miniguns mounted to all 4 turrets. Let's have a look at the mini fighter. Let's drop some ammo in there with our minigun and let's hop aboard. And we've got a very similar control system. First of all, we got to turn our turret on. So you flip that switch right there, you'll see the turret turn on. And then we can use the reload button, same as we did in the Apache, and control what it's going to target. So we should be able to come up over this hill here. There should be some bears up here. Yeah, there we go. We've got one there. So as you can see, they're very effective. The targeting works great. The controls are very intuitive. We can turn them on and off. We can also crash them. We've got a bunch of vehicles that we can pick from as well. They're all very armored. They're all very armed. They're all ready to go. They're super fun to play with. Of course, we have the rib with the 2 guns mounted out back, 2 guns mounted out front. We've got a helicopter with a SAM sight mounted to the top of it. There's just so many cool aspects to this. There's no way that I can go through each individual vehicle and show you what I like about them. Just know that every vehicle that's been modified, and there's, I believe, 16 of them, they're all super cool. And the creativity level by this developer is just top notch. Now I understand, by looking at what I've shown you so far, you might be saying to yourself, okay, this is way too OP for my server, and I totally get that. However, there is a configuration file that comes with this plugin that is super powerful as well. Now I don't want to go through every single feature of this config file. It's all pretty self-explanatory stuff, so I'm not really worried about anybody getting lost or confused or not understanding what to do inside the configuration file. There's just a few things that I want to bring your attention to so that you know what the capabilities of this plugin are. The signs that are being used as armor on each one of those vehicles can be controlled by the plugin itself. So if you want to put a default sign on there, you definitely can. Something that promotes your server or promotes your Discord or promotes your website. You can put that so that whenever a player ends up with one of these vehicles, that sign is already on their vehicle. If you want your players to be able to put images on the signs that are already on the vehicles, then of course you would use a plugin like Sign Artist and give them full access to that. So of course, how do we make it so that our players can actually get their hands on one of these vehicles? So if we go in game, we go in chat, we do /gunship.help. That's going to bring up how they can actually purchase one of these vehicles for themselves. And in the configuration file, we get to determine how they can actually purchase those vehicles. So obviously we can use economics, we can use server rewards, or we can just use a single item from in-game and use that as a currency to be buying these vehicles. By default, that's how the plugin is set up. They can use scrap to be purchasing these different vehicles. There's a PvP aspect to the plugin. So if you run a PvP server, obviously this information is going to be very important to you. If you're still interested in using gunships on your server, but you don't want them to be used in specific instances, this section is for you. How do we want the automatic targeting systems working? That's all right here. We've got a VIP section of the configuration file. So if you want to have different configurations for your VIPs on your server, you can set that all up here. And there's also an entire section dedicated to the different permissions that are associated with this plugin. Developers don't normally give us access to that information where we can change the functionality of each individual permission. Nice touch. We can also decide how each individual vehicle spawns when it comes to which additional features have been added to it. So the extra armor, the extra boxes, the radio, the heater, all this stuff that the plugin is adding to these vehicles that isn't normally there, we get to decide whether we actually want to make use of that. We can control the engine configuration. So how fast or how slow they can fly, how quickly they react, their fuel consumption, whether they spawn with fuel or not, even the types of fuel that you can use in them. For the vehicles that require engine parts, we can decide whether they spawn with those engine parts or not. And then of course, which level of those engine parts we want it to automatically spawn with. By default, I believe most of these are set to 0, which means no engine parts, which then leaves the player having to supply their own engine parts in order for this vehicle to run. There's also a reseller aspect to this plugin. So this obviously really only applies to role-playing servers, and I know nothing about role-playing servers, so I don't really understand how you would integrate this feature into an RP Rust server, but whatever, that functionality is there. You get to determine who can resell these gunships, how much commission they make off of it. Essentially, we get to control every aspect of reselling these gunships once the player actually has them. Now, the configuration file is a fairly massive document. I think it's like 550 lines long, but you need to remember that each individual vehicle with each individual parameter is listed in that configuration file. So while it might look like a large document, but it's actually not if you break it up into each individual vehicle. So another method of getting these gunships into your server or into your player's hands is by selling the actual item itself. So as you can see in my inventory here, I've got a bunch of these gunships in my inventory. So I could take these to outposts and I could do custom orders at the outposts, selling these vehicles for literally whatever currency we wanted at the outpost. Or of course you could set up like an admin shop with vending machines and put these items in there for sale. just like you would any other item. You could also add these into your loot table. So if you use a plugin like Alpha Loot or something similar that allows you to add an item as well as a skin ID, if you scroll down the doc page for GunShips on codefling.com, you'll see an image with a bunch of skin IDs as you're seeing on my screen right there. All of the land and air vehicles are small wooden boxes, and anything that's in the water is a boogie board. So you take that boogie board, you apply the appropriate skin to it. Now you no longer have a boogie board, you have a rib that has guns mounted to it. And I did exactly that. So I did a really quick and dirty custom loot table within Alpha Loot so that anytime a player comes across a crate like this and opens it up, you're going to see inside of it varying different degrees of all of these different vehicles. Now, obviously, this won't work on pretty much any server. I just wanted to show you that the capability is there so you can add these into your loot table. I think that's a little bit insane, and there's really only a small sliver of servers that would actually work for. I think you're far better off using the built-in purchasing system or adding it to a vending system either at the outpost or something similar. I don't really think you want your players to find an Apache helicopter in a loot crate on a road. I think that would just be insane. Now, there is one more specific vehicle that I want to show you because I think it is completely badass. That is a drone mounted with M249s that you can control and shoot from a computer station. Oh yeah, and there's a spotlight. So you just go into it to set the ID just like you would anything else that is accessible from the computer desk. We can go down to our computer desk and mount that, and we can select that drone right there because we've already added it to our system. And boom, just like that, we can fly this drone and shoot those M249s. And this is a thing of beauty. All right, so like I said before, my intention was never to go over each individual vehicle. I imagine at some point in time, there's gonna be so many vehicles that there just wouldn't be time in a video to go over each one individually. TGWA has definitely been putting out updates to this plugin for the last little while. I know that he's having a lot of fun with it. And as long as he's having fun with it, he's gonna keep creating new vehicles and adding more features to the plugin, which of course, in the end, benefits you as the end user. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't currently have a promo code for this product, but if I do end up getting a promo code for this product, it's going to be in the video description down below. It's going to be in the pinned comment. Plus I probably will have put it all over the screen somewhere so that everyone doesn't miss it. All right, now it's feedback time from you. So is this plugin too OP for a majority of servers? I don't know. I need to know what you all think. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of GunShips so far? Do you think it has potential? And of course, do you think this is something that might fit well on your server? Let's get the conversation going. Let's let TGWA know that he's got a good product, that he's on the right path. And of course, if you have critical feedback, I want to hear that too, and so will he. If you haven't already, make sure you remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on notification bells, hit that like button for me. And of course, if you want to support what I'm doing at Rust Admin Academy, you can hit me up at the Patreon right down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next week.